All right, sweet. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. Looking forward to the session. Hope you're good. If your camera is on, I love you particularly because I like to see faces. So thank you. I can see Aram. I can see her too. I can't see anybody else, but they're like 44 other people. There's Edith. Yay. Uh, okay, so this is my first time meeting you. I don't know you, but I like to know people by the things that they interact with. So quick exercise. What's the most recent movie you watched or series? Just put it in the comments. I'm curious. What's the most recent movie or series you watched? I want to see. I'm also looking for movies, so this is for me to find G20. Huh? I've not heard that one before. If I was G20, is it like a movie or series? Reacher season 3, The Residence, Weak Hero. Bro, I've only heard about half. I know Black Mirror and I know Reacher, but okay, I've seen Weak Hero. I've seen the trailer for Weak Hero. Dope Thief, The Stolen Girl, Broken Hallelujah. That sounds like it's a Nigerian movie. Is it a Nigerian movie? Love and Transit, The Last of Us. I've seen that one. Mimi, why haven't you watched movies? What have we been doing instead? Attack on Titans. Yes, I know that one. The Residence. I think that's a medical movie. I know that one. The Fall of House of Usher. Yes, I love that movie. It's like horror, but I don't know. It was probably like one of the most intriguing movies I've seen in a while. Okay, that is cool. Black Bag. Okay, let's try. Who's your favorite artist? Who are you listening to right now, music-wise? It could be anyone, Ghanaian, Nigerian. Passenger. Okay, that's a movie. Oh, Passenger is an artist. Sorry. Uh, oh, okay. Fletcher. Daniela. Black Sheriff. Black Hole. Yeah, Charlie, you get hard fast for here. David, you're not a fan of movie or music. Please, what do you do then? You need to have a poison, man. So if no movies, no terms. Okay, yeah, Nathan Ebasi. Love that. Oh, football. So it's like no movies, no music, just football. Okay, I see. I see. He's too serious. I mean, I get it. I used to be like, I'm not a big movie person either. I'm just beginning. Dude, you football people. Anyway, this is fun. Okay, I'll definitely check out G20. I think it's one of the most recommended movies. I don't know what it is, but it's like it's really cool. Um, all right, sweet. So that just tells me a bit of who's in the room. Um, Joe, I'm supposed to know, but I don't know. Where are you guys at? First year working, second year working, first year working. National service. Oh, sweet. I see. Nice. Random question. How many of you got the NSS posting you wanted? If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, put like a sad face. How many of you here got like the NSS? Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down, sad faces. Okay, I mean it's balanced. Put this in the chat so that I can see. Yeah, Charlie, plenty sad faces. Okay. Fun facts. I think by the time I graduated, I had 3 different offers for NSS, maybe 4. Yeah, and I still didn't pick any of them. I went to pick something else. But anyway, I'll tell you guys that story later. All right. So nice to meet everybody. I know Joel gave me like a title, but the thing I want to cover is personal strategy, right? I'm a big strategy person, and you see why. And the same thing that I do for organizations, I think, is very like valuable for people. So I spend time doing the exact same thing for people as well. So I like to think of the individual as like the micro organization, right? Like everything that applies to like a big company or your team or whatever, like the same ecosystem exists for you as a person. So how do you design systems and habits that drive lasting results, right? So the first thing is, yeah. Oh, you see a mirror image of the slide. Okay, give me, that's not, it should be fixed now. Is it fixed now? All right, perfect. Okay, this is my tech. Yeah, this is my tech messing with me, y'all. I think Google has a different way of showing this thing, so I'm just going to ignore Google for now. All right, sweet. So you can see me properly. Okay, so I wanted to find out a bit of who you are. You already told me that, because I know like. Thank you very much, Beatrice. Thank you. But is my audio clear? No, I love that. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Okay, so I will slow down. So what I said when I was rambling really fast is that I do a lot of work in strategy, and I'll explain why. But I do believe like the human being is the smallest unit of an organization, right? Everything that an organization needs to function properly, you can find that within a person. So a lot of the times when I coach people, I encourage them to think of themselves as an organization, right? You're a unit that has like different moving parts. So I'm calling this personal strategy, which is how do you design? So each word in the title is there intentionally, right? It's very, very intentional. Each word in the title. So the first thing is how do you design systems and habits that drive like lasting success for yourself as a human being, right? And the word design is important. So my goal was to get to know you a bit, and some of you have told me already by the movies and the music you like. But then the one thing I want to find out is what are you hoping to get from this session? What are your expectations? If the session goes successfully, what do you want to walk away from this session with? It can be anything, just so I know how I could be of the most help, because we have a short time together, and yeah, I want to make sure it's as useful to you as possible. So what are you hoping to get out of the session when 2 hours or so is over? It can be anything at all. There's no wrong answer necessarily. It's just to help me frame the things to say. Actionable strategies. Okay. Thank you very much, Daniela. Who else? One of my favorite lectures at the uni bears the same surname as you. Oh, Cristobal. Oh, interesting. I see. Oh, I'm glad. Let's hope I can live up to his standards. Beatrice had to be more productive. Yeah, I need more expectations in the chat. What practical knowledge? Yeah. What practical knowledge of how to set up systems to control my daily life for productivity and to be able to meet goals? Okay, great. Time management. Organizational skills. Yeah, I was supposed to call. I sent you a message, but I don't think you seen it. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Okay, sweet. Anybody else with? By the way, I'm on a mission to be your favorite session throughout this entire thing. So you guys have to help me. I want to like top every other person that has come to this session. Okay, sweet. So we have some expectations. That's good. That's in line. So the session is in a few parts. One is the introduction, which we've kind of already done. And then I'll tell you what the goal of the session is, because I typically like to have one goal. It's a short time. And then we'll get into the core lesson, right? The things I want to take you through. And then we'll do some Q&A. Now we can kind of pause and do Q&As as we go, depending on how the room feels and what the questions are, and if you guys want to spend some more time on something. But then we'll pause and do that, right? But I'm sure you're wondering, who the hell is this guy? Joel asked about this guy to come in, talk to you about organizational and whatever skills. Who are you? So usually it's hard to define who I am, but one is I'm a curious cat. I like to learn. I like to explore the world. So I'm usually on the quest to understand how the world works, how the world functions, whether it's business, whether it's life, whatever it is. I'm usually on a mission to understand, I think I have 2 cameras here. That's interesting. Guys, give me a second. I don't know why I've got two cameras. Oh, okay, got it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm a curious guy. I'm usually trying to figure out how the world works, right? And I'm an entrepreneur, so I like to build businesses. I currently run one core business. I own a part of a second business, and I'm usually helping other people start businesses, build businesses. And I'm a coach, so people typically come to me to have conversation and answer questions, try to help people figure out how to grow, whether it's in their life or their business, right? Those are the three things. You typically see me in this type of a setting. I'm always teaching something somewhere, right? So whether it's in person or it's virtually like this, individuals, organizations. And then I run a company. So this is my agency. We do a number of different things, technology, media, the whole nine yards. If I'm not doing any of these things, I'm a church boy. So I sing, I play a few instruments. So you either see me on stage, doing music stuff. You also find me leading large groups of people, right? So a lot of the things I do also tend to have to do with organizing people, getting people together, guiding people to do very different things. So you typically see me in this position where I'm standing in front of a group of people talking or doing something. I'm married, so I have a family. And this is crucial, by the way. It's very important. You see as we go along. But I have a family, I have a wife, I have a daughter. And then I'm a big personal development nerd, right? Like I spend a lot of my time trying to understand how do I build the most productive life, the most effective life. So I have an annual conference that I do called the Start Conference. That is, just meant to help people learn some of the skill sets we're going to talk through today, right? And this was last year's conference. Joel left. He was here, but then he left. So this is me, and this is very crucial to the rest of our conversation because somebody says like a man of many parts. I would argue this is everybody. It's not just me. All of you have different parts. You may have not laid it out like this or thought about it like this before, but you do, right? And we're going to get into the session and explain that. But that's who I am. I've worked with the people, right? The usual people that everybody likes to work with. MasterCard, Ashesi, Impact Hub, Stanbic Bank. Like I typically get brought in to do these things. So in safe hands, I'm not going to waste your time, right? But what's my goal? What's the thing I want to achieve today? There's a very short time. So as much as I would love to, it's impossible for me to exhaust everything you need to know to be able to build like the most efficient system for yourself, right? But my goal is if I can create a fundamental mindset shift in how you see the world, if I can change how you understand what personal development is, what productivity is, what organizational skills are, if I can change that mindset, then you can start the journey to becoming a more valuable person, right? So my goal here isn't to give you all the answers. My goal is to excite you enough to set you on a journey where you go on a lifetime quest to understand the skills, to master them. And I'll give you some starting points, right? So I'm not here to answer all your questions. I'm here to get you curious and interested enough that you can actually now start the process of how do you become the most effective person? How do you become the most productive person? How do you become the most valuable person, right? So if you're with me so far, put a thumbs up in the chat. Let me know you're following. And also if my speed is okay, let me know that my speed is good and then you can hear everything I'm saying loud and clear. All right, cool. I'm seeing some thumbs up. All right, great. Okay, so what is the core lesson? I'm going to teach you something that I call the 3M framework. And this framework for me came about, I guess, if you put 7 to 10 years together of just trying to understand the world. And you saw the different parts of my life. So I'm usually involved in different things from faith to business. And in business, because I'm in the creative and technology space, I get into different rooms, right? Different businesses, different industries. And oftentimes when you're in those settings, you start to try to find out what is the underlying thing that is true everywhere. Because you can't know everything, right? But if you can understand the fundamental thing that is true in multiple situations, you become a very dangerous person because you can function in everywhere. So in my bid to really understand the world and how things go, at least in the world that I'm a part of, I came up with this framework that I call the 3M framework, which is to understand anything. First, you need the mindset, you need methods, and you need motions. And we're going to break down every single thing. So at the end of the lesson, you should understand what mindset means, what methods mean, what motions mean. And we're going to apply this to productivity and personal development, but this is something you can apply to every other area of your life. Okay, so if you can stay with me and get a deep understanding of what this framework is, it's not just going to change how you organize yourself, how productive you are, how to deal with procrastination and multitasking and all these different things. I think it's going to fundamentally improve just even your understanding of the different things you have and how to approach learning. Remember, I'm not here to give you specific answers. I'm here to kind of set you on that path where you have a foundational understanding of how things work so you can forever grow, right? So the 3M framework, if you're taking notes, that's the thing you should write down, okay? So here's the exercise. In the next 12 to 18 months, we are talking about career. So let's keep it in the next 12 to 18 months. If anything is possible, what do you want to achieve? What is your biggest goal in the next 12 to 18 months? You can put it in the chat because I like to see some. And then you can also write it down. But think about it for like a minute or so, or maybe it's just like 30 seconds. What are your biggest goals? Start a business. Okay. Publish my first book. Charlie, your fellows aren't playing, you know. That's impressive. Okay, so start a business, publish my first book. Anybody else? I see people writing. Get a well-paying job. Complete chartered accountancy exams. Nice. CTA level 1. Okay, that's the chartered accountant exams, I believe. I should be in law school. Wild. Study abroad. Okay. That's to identify the right career path to take. Hey, marriage. Shook, but I like it. I love it. To be able to solve any problem with software development and be financially good. Okay. Working with UNFPA, UNICEF. Somebody says, oh, wow. Set up 3 earning streams, developing my skills and building my future, and have a family. Okay. Produce a movie. Nice. Start my master's. Okay. It's a very, please, what is tranquilo? I don't know what that is. So I have my first job. I want to get a job and must be branded. And I branded my foundation. Well equipped to start an HR role, to be an HR specialist. Okay, so if you haven't set any goals, I'm glad the pressure is babbling you. This is the point of being in community, right? Being around people so you can see their goals and see what they are aiming for. Okay, sweet. So you all have goals, I have goals, and I love the fact that you have goals, right? But then to achieve these goals, right? Everything that you've said that you want to achieve, these 3 things come to play. You have to be in a certain mindset. You need to know what to do, and then you need to have consistent, repeatable action to get you to those goals, right? So it doesn't matter what it is. Produce a movie, get married, get into your school, like whatever it is, you would typically have to do with those 3 things, right? So let's get to the first part, which is the mindset, right? And what I need you to understand, like your mindset is the operating system through which you see the world. Every phone has an operating system, right? The thing that makes an Android phone different from an iOS device is the operating system. Your computer has an operating system. Without an operating system, your computer is just like a useless piece of hardware, right? So an operating system is the program that basically runs the hardware. It's the thing that makes the hardware function. Now, as a human being, your mind is the ultimate engine, right? It's the thing that drives you. So if you look at the word, it has 2 parts, mind and set, right? This is the engine and this is the direction. If it doesn't sound like you're talking about productivity yet, stay with me. This is crucial, right? So if you look at the word mindset, it's 2 parts. Your mind is the engine, the set is the direction. So this is the operating system that runs your entire life. So if you take someone like me, most of the results I've been able to produce, the way I've been able to grow, all the things I've been able to do is typically because I've had a certain mindset, right? And that mindset is what dictates how I do everything. The quality of the video on this call, the setup that I have, like the way I'm communicating, it's all a product of the way I think about the world and the way I do every single thing. So remember I told you that I wanted to be the best teacher you've had. That's a mindset thing for me. Like in every single room, I want to be the MVP. I don't care what you ask me to do. If it's one person, 20 people, 1,000 people, I always want to come in and be the MVP, right? So the way you see the world is what determines how you do anything and everything. So of all the things that I can encourage you to do is to spend time figuring out how to build a mindset. Now, your mindset is typically going to come from your consumption, right? Like your mindset is shaped by the things you consume. So think of your mind as this bowl. You have this bowl, this container, right? It's empty. The things you fill it with at the end of the day, let's say this container is clear glass, right? It doesn't have any color. If I fill this container with blue liquid and somebody looks at it, what would they say? The container is blue, right? And if I fill this container with red liquid, if somebody says, they'll go like, the container is red. That's how your mind is. So the mindset you build is typically going to happen from the things you consume. So for me, the fact that you guys are on this call alone, it's a big differentiator in the kind of people you are and how you see the world, right? But that is foundational. And you have to understand that. So the people you expose yourself to, the things you learn, the movies you watch, the podcasts you listen to, it all goes to shape how you see the world. And how you see the world is your mindset, right? Now, that's the broader thing. So as it relates to this class and the things we're trying to do, what is the mindset I want you to have? What's the definition of the kind of mindset I want you to have? It's in a few parts. One, you have to understand that everything you want, whether getting married, building, branding your agency, or getting into law school, or closing your seat, whatever you want, is on the other side of being valuable to someone. Now, if you want to get married, why would somebody marry you? If you want to land a well-paying job, why would they employ you? Right? Even if you want to do something like get your chartered accountant exams, yes, that may not be a direct benefit, but for you to get the money to do that, you have to be useful to somebody in a certain way, right? So the first thing I need you to understand is that everything that you want, whether it's marriage, whether it's getting a school, whether it's getting whatever outcome you want, either directly or indirectly, is tied to being valuable to someone. That's the first thing. The second thing is becoming valuable is a byproduct of using the resources at your disposal. Value doesn't happen out of thin air, right? So to be able to create value, you have to learn how to leverage the resources at your disposal. Now, when you're starting off in your first year of work, just out of school, the most abundant resource and the fundamental one that you have is time, energy, knowledge, and skills. You may not have money yet. You may not have the largest network yet. Right? You may not have any of the usual things that you might see people talk about online as the thing that helps them grow. But fundamentally, you have these four things. You have time, you have energy, you have knowledge, you have skills. So if becoming valuable is a byproduct of using the resources at your disposal, then becoming valuable is a byproduct of using your time, energy, knowledge, and skills in a way that makes you valuable to someone. Are you following? And this is the basis of any kind of organization. And you see in the last end how they all come together. But you need to understand how to manage your time, energy, knowledge, and skills. Right? Time everybody has. Energy everybody has to some degree. Knowledge and skills has to be acquired. So you being in this session is an example of acquiring knowledge, maybe even acquiring some skills. Right? You going to school, it's acquiring knowledge, it's acquiring skills. But at the end of the day, without capital, or networks, or powerful parents, or whatever, this is the things that we all have access to and we can all control. And I think the people that win and the people that get ahead are fundamentally the people who understand the value of these four things and are intentional in their everyday life about how they deploy it, how they manage it, how they control it. And this is foundational. Like this is the lens that I want you to see the world through. That how you manage your time, how you manage your energy, how you manage your knowledge acquisition and skills development, ultimately is what's going to lead you to having capital, lead you to having friends, lead you to doing all the things that you want to do at the end of your life. Especially at this stage where you're just getting out of school. Okay? So the investments you make in these things will largely impact your progress and growth as an individual in most areas of your life. Whether it's personal, whether it's professional, wherever it is. So the very first question is, what investments are you making right now? If you're on this call, like you're already 10 steps ahead, because I know you're investing in like getting knowledge and getting skills. Right? Like, thumbs up to you, you're killing it. But what other investments could you do outside of this call? What other investments are? And the reason why I ask you to state your goal is that the way you invest, especially all these things, has to be tied to that goal that you have. Because here's the thing I tell people, if you are not going to Tama, don't get on the Tama bus. Right? So like the way you deploy your energy, time, and resources is equivalent to setting the direction that you want to go in. So if you want to get into HR, how are you deploying your time, energy, skills, and knowledge to help you become an attractive person to the people in that space? So the person that wants to get into HR is very different from the person that wants to study abroad. It's different from the person that wants to start their own foundation. It's different from the person that wants to have like their chartered accountant exams. And the reason why you have to understand this thing also is, if you understand this, you don't just blindly copy what everybody else is doing. Because at this age in your life, that's what's going to happen. Your national service is about to end. You look around you, all your friends are moving in a particular direction, and then you go like, oh, everyone is doing it, then I might as well do it as well. Right? But if you understand your goals and you understand these 4 things, then you know that, okay, the way this guy is using his time and energy is because of the goals he has. And the way I'm using my time and my energy is because of the goals I have. So because I don't have set goals, I'm not necessarily going to copy what he's doing and how he's doing it. Right? So the quote is, if you don't want somebody else's outcomes, don't copy their lifestyle. And this is also very crucial for you guys, because you're growing up in a world where you go on LinkedIn, you will see that I'm happy to announce I've started a new role as software engineering intern at Google. I'm happy to announce that. Right? You go on Instagram, someone is balling, someone is like, but you have to understand that they may have, now if you want that person's goals, then by all means. Right? So it's very easy for someone to say that, okay, let's say I'm telling you all these things, right? The question is, okay, do you want the outcomes that I have? I'm like, oh, I'm 31 years old, I'm Ghanaian, I live here, like I run multiple businesses, like I'm married, I did this, I did that. If you look at that and you go like, that's something that's interesting, and I may want that kind of a result, then yes, by all means, listen to the things I'm saying. But if you're like, oh, no, I'm not interested, then some of it may be useful, but it's usually nonsense, right? Because you are not heading in the same direction as me. Are we following so far? All right, see some thumbs up, so I'll take it as that. Now, here's the conclusion for the mindset bit. The mindset is how you see the world. So I need you to build a mindset statement. My mindset statement is, I want to be the MVP in every single room that I can do so, and I want to understand the world. Those are the 2 things. Like my mindset is, whatever it is that I'm dealing with, wherever I am, I want to be the best player in that room. And I also want to understand that particular world to the best of my ability. Okay, so here's the exercise for you. If you can make a mindset shift right now, that's to help you make progress towards your goal. The goal that you have set that you want to achieve at the beginning of this call or the beginning of this conversation, what would that mindset be? How would you have to change the way you see the world? Now, this is still very early on in the session, so if you're not clear on that, it's fine. Just think about it, right? But I want you, even if it's after the call, I want you to go and go like, what's the one mindset shift I can make? Maybe it's the way I think about time. Let me tell you guys a story. Like when I was in university, I stopped watching movies altogether because it just wasn't a good use of my time. My goal is by the time I leave the university, I wanted to be flooded with job opportunities, right? So it's like, yeah, watching movies isn't going to help me do that. So all my time was spent volunteering. All my time was spent doing ambassadorship program competitions, because my goal now created a mindset shift where I saw my time as very valuable. Right? So to be a valuable person, you first have to cross this barrier of the mindset. If you don't cross that barrier, like everything else I'm about to say, you can go and read everything on the internet. People will give you frameworks. You can download all the to-do lists. In fact, because you just don't value those resources as much. So I think what also happens is like people run to tactics, right? I'm sure you guys are expecting for me to come on this call and go like, create a to-do list, like manage your calendar, like plan your day. We'll talk about that stuff. Right? We'll talk about that stuff. But that is secondary to getting the right mindset. And Kokwe saying I had the right mindset early. Yes, you're right. But that's why what Joel is doing with this is so amazing. I had the right mindset because when I was in high school, I met a mentor in 2009 who literally flooded me with videos, books, like materials, and I started consuming that stuff, and that's what set my mind. So by the time I got to the university, I mean, I was playing a completely different game from everybody else. And if you must know, I graduated with second lower. Okay? And, oh, you didn't know? I graduated with the second lower, and here's the killer part. I stayed around the same GPA from year 1 to year 4, 56 point something. If I move plus 1 minus 1, somebody says they want evidence. I don't know what my certificate is. and the reason this was is because before I went to the university, I had a mentorship session similar to what you guys are having with different people, and I met at the time was 2012. I met Patrick Iwa, Florence Tofa, Ato Ozanapia, the people that are like the interesting people in the space. And the one thing I realized is that what I learned in school wasn't necessarily what was going to build my career if I wanted to be in tech. So when I went to school, getting a high CV, and I think in tech we call it CWA, it wasn't part of my plan. I came here to maintain, to stay in school, and then take advantage of all the opportunities that I had. Right? And that's a mindset. Like when I went to tech, people came to tech to get like good grades. I went to tech to build opportunities, to create value for myself. And that's because I was around a mentor that told me that the most valuable thing was tangible skills in the marketplace based on where the world is going, and not necessarily my certificate. And also because I was in computer science. So that mindset shift allowed me to go through the 4 years in the university in a very different way from everybody else, such that when I graduated, I already had like job opportunities lined up. There was Unilever, there was Letty Arts, there was Code Hub. And then I had a chance to choose where I wanted to. So I chose financial service. I was like, I'm going to work here. And there was Dreamover. I was like, I'm going to work here. And then they paid and brought me there. Right? But it came from that mindset shift. So that's why I started by saying like the things you consume is very important. What you hear, what you listen to, who you're with, where you spend time, it's all very crucial to helping you grow, right? Helping you become a more valuable person. Okay, so that's the mindset. Now we are seeing the world right. We have that one thing that we want to spend time, energy doing. The second part of this framework are the methods, okay? A method is how you do anything, right? So remember we are saying that you want to become a more valuable person, right? That's how you get the things you want in life. And to become a more valuable person, you need to make the most out of the resources you have. Your time, your energy, your knowledge, your skills. Now the question is how? How do I actually make the most out of my time, energy, resources, and skills as somebody at this early stage in my life, right? Now, there are many ways to think about it. Many ways to think about it. But then there's two that I want to give you as a starting point. Again, these are not conclusive, right? But there's two that I want to give you as a starting point that I think if you lean into or if you start practicing, can help you start making progress fast. And I just realized I wasn't charging my laptop. It would have gone off on all of us. Okay, so there are two methods, right? And now we are in the details of the organizational bits. Like this is how you, like we are the point where I'm like, okay, you're seeing the world right. You know you have to create value. You know you need to manage your time. You need to manage your energy. You need to manage your skills, your knowledge. How do you actually do that? The first way is what I call role-based planning. So when I was introducing myself, there's a reason I showed you all those different parts of me being a coach, of me running a business, of me being a husband and a father, of me being somebody that's active in church. Because as a human being, as you on this call, you have multiple roles in your life. You may not know it. Okay? So in role-based planning, you have to identify all the various roles in your life and then you set goals for that. Because when I ask you for goals, most of you give me the most pressing goal and the most recent area of your life, whatever you're thinking about, whether that was family or relationship. Some people gave me 2, right? Now, so let's go through the exercise. If you take me as Eldad, I'm somebody's father, I'm someone's husband, right? I'm someone's boss, I'm another person's employee because they are paying me to do something for them, right? I'm like a church person. Let me just put a church member. I have some like responsibilities in church, right? What else? I'm a friend. I'm one person, but these are all the various roles that I have. I'm a coach to some people, right? Like the people that I coach for work. These are the different roles that I have in my life, okay? Now, when I wake up every day, whether I know it or not, I have responsibilities across all these roles. Are you following? So you right now, the exercise for you is identify all the roles that you play in your life. You're a brother, you're a son, you're somebody's employee, you're a student in this class. What are all the different roles that you have? Can you identify them? Right? Identify them and write them down. It's crucial. You have different roles. What are all the roles? So that's the first thing. Identify all the different roles that you have. If you're thinking about a bigger category, right? You can think of it as family, because for me, being a husband and a father, and I'm someone's son as well, that can go under family, right? Some people say faith. So whatever your faith is, I'm a Christian. So me being in church, me doing other things, that's a responsibility. There's finances. So everything I do around my work, being a boss, being an employee, being a coach, that's all my finances, right? You can also think about it in those categories. But I like roles because it calls out the individual thing that you are. Now, the reason this is crucial is that the roles that you have, say, let's say you're still living with your parents, right? Let's say you're still home. The roles that you have as, say, a son or a daughter has responsibilities that will impact the roles that you have as an employee. So you wake up in the morning, your mom pisses you off, it affects your day at work. Right? Like it's real, right? Let's say, you're in love, you're somebody's girlfriend or boyfriend, and then they did something Sunday night, and they have to go to work Monday morning. Maybe they broke your heart, you chop breakfast. It will affect your work. So the reason why it's crucial to think about it is that you are a multi-dimensional entity, right? You're not just one, like you are multifaceted and you have different areas of your life that are all impacting each other. But when we think about organization and planning, most people don't think about it in that perspective. They think it's only in one area of their lives. But if you're organized in one area of your life and you're not organized in the other, it's going to negatively impact that. So it's actually easier for you to understand all the different facets of your life and then commit to being organized in all those different areas. Because then you have momentum, right? It's easy to be organized in one area and then carry it over to another area. Okay, so first, you need to identify the goals that you have. And then next, I need you, the roles, right? So roles. Now, remember the exercise we did first, when I'm like, in the next 12 months, what goals do you want to achieve? Remember the exercise? I want you to go and answer that question for each of the roles you've identified. So if you're an employee, what roles do you want to achieve in that? What goals do you want to achieve in the next 12 months? If you're somebody's son, what goals do you have? If you're somebody's girlfriend, those who want to get married, maybe that's your goal. What goals do you have, right? If you're someone's employee, if you have a sibling, what goals do you want to have in that relationship, right? So that question that we answered first, instead of just like answering that question in one dimension, whether it's family or friend or whatever, I need you to go back and now answer that question in all the different roles that you have, the ones that you've identified. This is step one, it's role-based planning. Now, how this impacts your day-to-day is when you wake up and you think about planning, when we get to in the last bit, the motions, you go like, okay, what roles do I have as an employee today? What do I need to do as a son? What do I need to do as that allows you to keep your entire life very organized? So the organization I'm talking about is not just like, oh, I'm a good employee. No, it's like I'm a good human being. I'm a properly structured human being that can function across multiple domains with the same level of excellence, integrity. And it starts from you understanding all the different roles you have and then having a goal/strategy for all those roles. Right? And when we get to the motion part, we'll talk about priority setting. So you understand how to manage all these different things, right? So that's the first part. Now, I want to pause here because I think it's a new idea that many of you may not have heard. I want to pause here. And then if you have any questions so far, let's ask those questions before I go into the second part of this, and then we can go into the rest of the session. So I want to pause. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. Even if it's a comment, like, how's it going so far? I'm slow, too fast. It's making sense. It's not making sense. I want to get some feedback and then address any questions, and then we can move on to the next session. Okay, I'm making sense. Inspire you. Oh, wow. Okay, that's good. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. Someone said I feel like my life has been simplified so far. All right, that's perfect. I like that. Okay, so we've spoken about role-based planning, right? Now, the next thing I want you to think about is this thing of defense versus offense thinking. So, in all the different roles that you have, this is the football fans, you love this. In all the different roles that you have in your life, there are things you have to do to survive now, and then there are things you have to do for the future. Right? So if you think about a football match, when you're playing defense, you're trying to stop people from scoring you goals, right? You're trying to protect what you have. You're trying to, if you have a lead, you want to protect that lead. If you've considered a goal, you want to stop people from scoring you more goals. If it's a draw, you want to keep it like that, right? So defense is anything you do to protect your current position in life, right? And in your role as an NSS person, defense may just be like getting through your day and just getting that paycheck at the end, getting that NSS check, right? It's just the things you do right now to keep surviving. So defense is survival. But then there's offense. So in football, if you're playing offense, what are you trying to do? You're trying to score a goal, right? You're trying to go beyond just maintaining the status quo, and you're trying to achieve something else. In your personal organization planning and all these things that we're talking about, you have defense, which is things you are doing now, and then you have offense, which is things you are doing for tomorrow. So for those of you who are like, okay, I want to write my CTA exam, I want to get a job. Like, you may not have all the time in the world to learn for that exam because you still have to go to work and you still have to fulfill your, you still have to fulfill all the needs, like, that your boss has of you, that your job has of you. So the other thing is, like, you need to understand that in all the roles that you've established, there are things you have to do defensively just to keep yourself going, to keep the relationship going, to keep the job going, to make sure you don't get fired. But then there's also things you have to do in the offensive strategy, which is the things you're doing for your future. So for some of you, getting on this call is an offense because it doesn't necessarily pay you any money right now, right? That's why I'm like, you guys are OGs. Like, you are 10 steps ahead of the game by just being on this call. Because the information you're getting here isn't necessarily going to help your pockets today, but it's going to help your pockets in the future. So whilst your friends may be chilling, watching the match or doing whatever it is that people do on Sunday evenings, I wouldn't know because I've always been an offense person. You are here gaining knowledge that puts you in a position where in the next 2 to 3 years, you can begin to make decisions differently and act differently. That will then produce results that most people will not have because you have an offensive strategy. Now, this is crucial because when we get to to-do lists, right? When you get to writing down your activities or setting goals, if every goal you have is defense or offense, then you have a problem. Okay, so this is what the metric should look like. This is one example. Let's say in my role as a father, because that is one of my prominent roles right now. Yeah, I need to have goals. some of that goal needs to be defense. Some of that goals need to be offense. And the funny thing is this: when you're in university, which is why sometimes I wish I have these conversations with you guys when you're like in year one. When you're in university, most of your life should actually be offense. It's a bit too late for you if you didn't do that now, but it's still good to know so you can share with someone. When you're in university, most of your life should be offense. The reason is because for most of us, our fees are being paid, we have accommodation, we are in a contained environment, we have a lot of benefits, right? We are being provided for. Some of us have to work through school, and I understand that. And if you ever had to do that, mad respect, I had to do that at some point myself. But in university, most of your life is kind of like taken care of. So your obsession should be, how do I build value for the future? So that's what I did. And because I had very early mentorship, my university was like, it was all offense. Like it was, so in university, keeping my grade, because I was in computer science and because we're getting the tech world, that was the defense. It was okay. But I didn't need that. I wasn't going to be a doctor. If you're a doctor or an accountant, maybe that strategy is not good, right? You need your grade, or a pharmacist. Joel is here, so he can attest to that, right? But in university, most of your life has to be offense. The problem is, as soon as you graduate, that pie starts shifting. Because now you have responsibilities. Now you have to get a job. Now nobody's like, giving you things at discounts, right? So the amount of leverage or space you have to do things for the future starts to reduce. But here's the thing I want you to take it from somebody who's married and has a daughter. Even then, you still have a lot of time for offense, right? So this is uni, working. Once you start building a family, that's like offense, like starts going down much, much, much lower. So the more responsibilities you, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm writing like a doctor, but right? Once you start to accumulate responsibilities, your defense, like the amount of defense you have starts to go up. So the advice for you here, which so far I've tried not to give you advice, I tried to help you understand the world, but if there's one advice I'm going to give you, is in the stage of life here right now, when it comes to how you schedule your activities, I need you to obsess over offense. You need to spend a lot of time thinking, okay, what can I do today to position me in a better way in the future? What skills do I need to learn? What rooms do I need to be in? What behaviors do I need to correct? What new behaviors do I need to build? What can I do to be on the offense? And you should do that for as many areas of your life as possible. Now, we'll get on the last part, we'll start to have the tools, right? So we'll talk about priority management, energy management. You can't have all these things happening at the same level, but they need to be happening in all the different areas of your life, okay? So the two things is role-based planning, which is who are you? Father, son, student, employee, right? What are the goals and responsibilities you have? How do you make progress on those? That's your defense. Where do you want to be, right? What are the things you need to do to be able to get there? That's going to be your offense, right? Are you following me so far? With this kind of thinking for yourself as a person. And here's a warning. If you get this right, there is a very high chance, about 50% of you will wake up in 30 days and you're like, you don't want to be friends with your friends anymore. Because when you find out that one, they don't have the same goals as you are, they're not headed in the same direction. So the way they manage their energy, time, skills, and resources is not the same way. And most of them aren't playing offense. Right? Sometimes, like someone said, like my life looks very different because I just had a head start. Like I had a 10-year head start on all my friends. In 2009, 2008, I met somebody, I listened to them, and that literally put me 10 years ahead of my peers at every single stage of my life. And with the way the world is right now, this is a bit of a tangent, but with the way the world is right now, many people are thinking, how do I position myself to win in the long run? All the activities are about today. What can I get today? What can I eat today? Who can pay me today? I want to look cool to my friends today. But I hope like you are seeing that the results that you get is on the end of making these decisions and then committing to them for a really, really long time. Right? So those are the two methods: role-based planning, offense and defense. Right? Now, why does offense and defense matter? Real progress comes from balancing the present with the future. Having a clear plan of action makes it easy for you to start and keep the momentum on your goals. So at any point in time, if somebody come and ask you, what are your goals? You should be speaking in terms of defense and offense. You should go like, you know what, currently here are the things I'm doing just to survive. But then here are the things that I'm doing to like make sure like in the next 5 to 10 years, I'm in this particular position. That's the way you think. Currently here are the things I'm doing to make sure I have a good relationship with my mom, but like I definitely want to like, you know, build a much better relationship and build a much better life. So, you know, here are the other things I'm also putting in place to make sure that in the next 5 to 10 years, like we're in a much better place than we are right now. Across board. So this person that I introduced at the beginning of the call, that may be interesting to a lot of you, right? They go like, oh wow, this guy is like so many different things, was created by this, I'm telling you. The consistent pursuit of what are my goals in the separate areas of my life? How do I improve them? What's my offensive strategy? What's my defensive strategy? Where do I go from here? How do I improve, right? This is a consistent result of this kind of a thinking. And for those of you who might be curious, especially because I know like we are young here, I got married at 26. Like that's how early. And for lots of my friends, they were like, that's crazy. But like, I'm like, yeah, it's like, that's the strategy for me. That's the plan. It's time. I'll be with my wife 10 years this September. And I'm 31. So like, I spent most of my 20s with the same person. I wasn't out partying. I wasn't sampling the land. You know, I wasn't balling. Like, none of that stuff. Right, and I wish these are like this. I wish I had time to pull some older. These are like end pictures. This is me in the last like 3 to 5 years of like a 15-year journey. Right, but I need you guys to understand like what results happen if you start to implement some of these things. And for me, that's been my life. Now, I'm not saying no guarantees, okay? I'm not saying that if you're going to do these things, your life will end up like mine. You're not me, I'm not you. But what I am saying is you can significantly make progress if you start to think about the world like that. Right? Now, those are the two frameworks, okay? And this is still all on getting you to understand level. Right now, we've not put pen to paper. We are not drawing our daily plans here, none of that stuff. And I know that's what everyone is dying for, or at least that's what you thought you wanted when you came. So eventually we're going to get there. But I needed you to like know why you have to do any of those things in the first place. Because if you don't have the why, it doesn't matter how many to-do apps you download. In fact, how many of you have tried to plan your days to organize and it doesn't work? You download the apps, you buy the notebooks, you buy the sticky notes, you write the things, but it doesn't go anywhere. How many? Right? Exactly. So it's not necessarily those things. It's not about the apps. It's not about the website. It's not about... So everybody runs to those things thinking that, oh, those are the reasons why. It's like, it's not necessarily the reasons why, right? I think you need a fundamental shift as to why these things are important, even before you start to get the tools. Because the tools can change. The tools can be anything. When I started this journey, I used to use a lot of tools. So if you spoke to me, I'll be like, oh, download this app, download that app, download that app. Now, do you know how I plan my day? It's pen and paper and this notebooks. Like, I don't bother with any fancy apps. So let me see if I can find a page. So I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, what do I have to do today? And I basically just write a list. My doctor handwriting again. You can't see anything. This camera. Yeah, but I basically just write a list of the things I have to do. And then write my thoughts. And if I'm bored, I'll scribble and I'll doodle. Right? So it's not the tools. The tools help. The tools can make you more productive in certain ways. The tools are cooler. But if you don't really understand why you're planning, what you're planning towards, and some of the other things I will teach you in the method, in the motion section, you can get all the tools, but it will not work. Okay? So now that we have a solid understanding of our mindset, the kind of person we want to be, where we need to go, the methods, thinking of ourselves in different roles and thinking in the things we need to do now versus the things we need to do in the future. What is the day-to-day look like, right? When you wake up, what does organization actually entails as a human being who wants to achieve these things? There are 4 parts to it. 1 is task management, which is what most people think organization is. 1 is task management. 2 is time management. They are not the same thing. Okay? They are not the same thing. Time management and task management is different. And then there's energy management, which is one I don't hear people talk about at all. Then there's information management. So to actually get organized, you need to be, all these things subconsciously impact your ability to stay organized or not stay organized, right? So let's talk about it. Task management, and some of them go together, right? Some of them will like work in conjunction. So they don't like separate things, but you need to see the world for what it is, right? In these layers. So the first is task management. And the task management thing is very simple. If you have very clear goals, right? The strategy is big goals broken down into smaller goals. And then that broken down into much smaller tasks, right? This is something you can learn everywhere. Okay, so you have, okay, let's take an example. Let's say the person that wants to get married. I like that one because it's nice. Let's say the person that wants to get married. Okay, you have to find the person first. Okay, if you're going to find the person, okay, what does that look like? There's things you have to do, and then you have to go to the place where the person is. So you are searching. Okay, you search, then you have to bag them, then you have to court, then you have to plan the wedding. Okay, before you end up getting married. So getting married is not just like this one thing that happens. It has a lot of subtasks, right? The person that wants to like create multiple streams of income. Okay, how much money do you want to make? Okay, what skills do you have? That will be the next question. Okay, do I have the skills? Yes, no. Let me learn. Okay, cool. What skills do I have to learn? Okay, now I need to go find the opportunities. So every single big goal you have, you're going to have to break it down into smaller tasks. Now, my goal for this session is not to teach you that. There's millions of videos on the internet that will teach you how to take a task and how to break it down, okay? So I want to focus on the things that you most likely will not hear online. And then when you go online, you can begin to parse this information through a different lens, okay? But when you figured out your big goals and you break it down to sub goals, what it comes down to is the day-to-day. Now, I want you to see how detailed I get. This is a screenshot from one of my to-do lists. So every morning when I wake up, I'm going to go like, what do I have to do this week? Every Monday. And it's like I do it so many times. And I just use a simple note. Nothing fancy, right? Here, and I put my haircut is on my calendar. We'll talk about that. My haircut is on my calendar. I'm very old. So like, it's scheduled, right? I need to send an audio. I need to export and send something. And this is stuff we have to do for church. I need to meet to somebody about something. This is a client that we have. So I need to resume work. I need to show something. Every little details. So task management is basically you thinking about the things you have to do and breaking them down into individual tasks. So you can do this on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, and definitely on a daily basis. So when I wake up in the morning, I have a list of things that I need to hit for that particular week. And just like I showed you, you can see they are categorized by the different areas of my life. So I'm not just putting a bunch of tasks together into one list. That's why that earlier exercise we did is very important. You may have office tasks that you need to do. And then you may have personal tasks. Then maybe you have church tasks. Then you have whatever task. But every day, every month, you should go like, okay, what are my goals for this thing? Okay, what are the activities? Okay, what are the tasks? This way, you're able to keep all your life in view. Now, there are times where you may not be able to get all the tasks done. That's absolutely fine. You're not supposed to. And we'll talk about how to manage that. But the first thing is just like, when it comes to task management, it's having clear categories and having detailed breakdowns of all the things. And nothing is too small to write down. That's another thing people like mistake. Nothing is too small to write down. Especially when you're thinking about planning your week or planning your day, nothing is too small. Write every single thing you can think about down. Because one, you forget, but two, having it down allows you to decide whether it's important or not. And then when tomorrow comes, you can revisit the list and you go like, yesterday I wanted to go here, but I didn't go. How many of us has that happened to you before? You're like, we wanted to do something, but I didn't write it down, then you forgot from Monday. And then next week, Tuesday, also remember that, last week, Monday, I wanted to call this person, but then I don't know what happened. Well, you didn't write it down. That's what happened. Right? So a good exercise is just write things down, especially your tasks. Okay, but you're going from goals to activities to tasks. And then a big part of this is consistent review. Right? Because if you write the things down and you don't go back to say, okay, yesterday I said I was going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many did I do? You never really know. In this screenshot, I didn't cross anything off, but then I'll see if I can find one doing Q&A. Like I cross things off. Okay, this is done, that's done, this is done, that's done. Right? So you have to be able to do this. And again, you need to train yourself to think like that. So when somebody was up to you and go like, what do you have to do? You might go like, for church, these are the things I have to do this week. Home, these are the things. And for myself as work, these are the things I have to do. And the thing you have to understand is this. I want to go back to role-based for a second, right? Remember I said you have different roles. Not all of these roles are going to be important to you. We'll get to that. Somebody says, once you're writing everything, will make the list bulky and exhausting. We'll get to that. Not all of these things will be important to you at every single stage, right? So let's get to the next thing. We'll come to time management later. Let's go to energy management. So task management is writing everything down, right? Now here's the thing. You are limited. You have 24 hours in the day. Okay? You can't do everything. So you need to have priorities. Priorities are how you decide what to do and what not to do. Are you following? So the fact that you've written 20 things down doesn't mean that you are like going to do all 20 things. So let's talk about priority setting in terms of the roles. So let's say I have a role as a father. I have a role as a son. On the family side, I have a role as a husband. Then I have a role as an employee. And I have a role as somebody else's boss or employer. Okay? Now, when I wake up this week, not all these roles are equally important. So I need to prioritize which is the most important role that I need to play right now. And that means that everything in that category has to get done. But in other categories, it doesn't matter so much if I don't do all the things. So if you write the list down, you now need to prioritize that list based on what's most important. Okay? So this is another thing that I want you to look up online and just look at prioritization. There's a metrics that people will give you. Urgent, important, not urgent. Right? So that's something you will see. There's urgent, and then there is important. And then you get this quadrants, right? So I want you to look at priority setting. So again, my goal is not to teach you the tactics, but I need you to know. So how you decide, Haruna, how you manage that list is what is most important right now, what has to be done. And most of the cases, it is your defensive things that needs to be done first. For a lot of people. And I'll talk about how to structure your day at the end, right? At least how I structure my day. But it's your defensive stuff that needs to be done first. So you manage your energy and that long task list by setting priorities. The second thing that nobody talks about is what you eat. If you have a lot of things to do in a day, if you have a lot of responsibilities, if you have a lot of tasks, your energy affects your ability to be able to work. So, how many of you know, like, have this experience? You go to the office, you have a good morning, you go to lunch, you eat, and then that's the end of your day. You can't do anything else. Even some of you say lunch is too far. By the time you chop that cocoa and co say that be that breakfast will knock you out. Like your whole day is slow. So this is one thing that a lot of people don't like. They don't think about when it comes to like getting things done, right? You have to be awake and you need to be energetic to actually get anything done. So it doesn't matter whether you've had a to-do list, whether you've set goals, whether you've done all these different things. If you're eating at a quantity that knocks you out and that keeps your energy low, you can't do anything. So like I see people talk about time management, productivity, but no one talks about food. And I'm like, food is about one of the most important things that impacts how productive you are. Now, I understand that sometimes eating in the most helpful ways to manage your energy is an expensive endeavor. So that's not lost on me. But the least thing you can do is reduce the quantity. You can eat anything and it will not kill you if you don't fill your stomach. Some of us, when we eat so we can't breathe. That's how we know that we are satisfied. Like, you have to be panting, your stomach has to be like this. And then, you know that, no, like, eats to 70%. So, like, I need you guys to, like, this is very important. So the first thing I need you to do is that just, if you're eating too much, reduce your portions. Okay? This conversation is like it's a much lengthier conversation that when I have time, I think I might do a whole thing on, because I've been researching food for I think the last 2 or 3 years, and I've been doing experiments on myself and just how food affects my productivity. And I think it's a big thing, right? You don't really need fancy meals. Like the Ghanaian meals we have are good enough to allow you like still be productive. But it's like the simplest exercise is 1, reduce your quantity, and 2, delay your breakfast. Don't wake up at 7 a.m. and go and swallow cocoa and then drink. You can't get anything done in the day. Right? And I think that's such a big problem. So people have all this to-do list, they have all these goals, but then they don't have any energy. So they're mentally exhausted because they're trying to do all these plenty things. They're not prioritizing. And on top of that, they've gone to like eat 2 balls of cake. And then, worst of all, they didn't sleep the night before. So you're on TikTok to 12 a.m. and you have to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to work. You manage to wake up at 4. 7, they're drinking cocoa. How are you going to do any work? Like, and people put themselves in this cycle all the time. It's a vicious cycle. So people think like productivity is like, oh, I need to set my task, I need to do all this, I need to do all these things. Like, by the end of the day, if you're not sleeping well, if you're eating anyhow, like you won't have the energy to do anything. So managing your energy is a crucial part of actually like managing your ability to do the things you have to do. And the last one is exercise. This one is important also because exercising is not just about having a six-pack or having a big bum or not being fat. That's what everybody tells you. The only reason why you have to exercise now is like you want six-pack, you want flat tummy, you want a big ass, or like you don't want to be fat. Right? But the thing is, exercise actually gives you energy. It keeps your energy up. So even 15-20 minutes of exercise daily is a huge impact for how much energy you have and your ability to just be productive. Right? So your sleep, your exercise, your diet goes a lot into how much energy you have to even do the things that you have to do. And if you're not able to set priorities, then it puts you in a much better position. Now, some of this may not apply to all of you, and some of you may also have legitimate reasons why maybe you sleep late. Because I know that some of us, are not just working, we have other responsibilities. We have things you have to take care of, right? So if you're in that situation, I see you, it's tough. So you may just have to hold the line until you can create space to start doing some of the things I'm talking about. But generally, starting with good sleep, getting some movement, and making sure your food and diet, just at the least, you're not overeating, that will help you manage your energy better. And if you not prioritize the things that you have to do properly, then you're in a much better position to actually do things on this list. So when I write on my task list, I may not do everything. I may just go like, okay, of all the tasks I have, this is priority number 1, this is priority number 2. Priority number 1 means all those things have to be done. Yeah, somebody has said something that I want to address. I was going to call this out somewhere. Please, I'm a Christian, and I was brought up in church. But if I employ you and you come to work and you're sleeping, and I ask you why, because you're doing alpha hour, I will sack you. Like this, guys, this is serious. Because I remember I went to a friend's office and I saw this girl dozing, and I was like, why are you sleeping? It's like 11 a.m. And then I dug and found out she was up all night praying at alpha hour. I'm like, yo. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Christian. Some people, I preach in church. Like, I understand these things, and it's a whole different conversation. But like, priorities, people. You need to function at your job. You have responsibilities. You can't abdicate those responsibilities in favor of things that will clearly harm you. Do alpha hour on the weekends. But on the weekdays, sleep early. Get enough rest. So it's not just like, oh, it's TikTok and movies, so if I'm doing alpha hour, it's fine. It's like, no. You need to get a minimum amount of sleep to function. So if you pray all the prayer when you go to work and you're sleeping, they will sack you. Even God will not save you. Like, so I also really, and this is a cultural thing and it's very crucial, but like, I saw somebody talk about the prayer warrior thing. That's why it came up. It's very, like, you need to do the things you have to do to be able to like keep going in the professional settings that you're at. Right? So I'm just putting it out there. Like, I'm really trying to help you go out there and be truly valuable. So you have to look at things from every single perspective, right? So we're talking about task list, priority setting, food, exercise, diet. Now, time management. So time management is this thing of like, everybody has 24 hours. Okay? Everyone has 24 hours. How much you can do within that 24 hours is usually what determines your output. But if you don't have the energy, it doesn't matter. Okay, if I have energy, I can do more in 24 hours than most people do. Sometimes I do more in a week than most people do in a month. I know Joel here does more in a month than most people do like half a year. And boy, Jumar off. Right? So for time management, you first have to make sure your priorities are set right. If you don't have the right priorities, you can't manage your time effectively. Does that make sense? You can't do everything. So like I said, from this list, you have to pick the things that are more important and then focus on that. So first thing of time management is setting clear priorities. That's the first one. You need clear priorities. Okay? Now, once you set those clear priorities, I need you to time box. Okay? Now, what time box basically is, I have 24 hours, right? Let's say this is my whole 24 hours. How am I breaking down that time, that 24 hours, to allow me to do the different things I have to do? I didn't get my calendar on here. Can I do that safely? Give me a second. I want to show you guys, because you have a 24 hours, you need to learn how to break down that 24 hours to allow you do different things in the right way possible. And I didn't put a screenshot here, but I'll show you guys a live calendar. So you have to think of your 24 hours in a visual way, right? You have to think of your 24 hours and like, here is the thing that I have to do. Let me see what day has a lot of things. Okay, so 16th even this day is light, but it will make the point. So I'm switching here. Okay, let me know if you can see me. You can see my calendar, right? Now, what a calendar does is that it gives you 24 hours. Okay, so from 12 a.m. till 12 p.m. you can see like 11 p.m. you can see your entire day, and typically you want to box out the things that you're going to do per the time that you've been given. So in 24 hours, I'm usually sleeping between 10 p.m. and I think I've even removed some things. I'm sleeping between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. I wake up at 5 a.m. I have my morning routine. My morning routine consists of a number of different things: devotion, exercise, writing down my thoughts, planning my day. Okay. Now 7 a.m. This particular day is empty because I run a company, I run a business. So usually this time is filled in by different activities. So I may have a meeting, and then if I have a meeting, it's put in there. If I have something, it's put in there, right? So time boxing is basically you taking your 24 hours and then breaking it down into all the different things that you have to do. I want to see if I can find something more interesting. Okay, this is another one, right? You see my morning AM 5 to 7 a.m. but then from 10 to 6 p.m. is blocked. Okay, on Tuesdays, I need to focus on just doing work that is important for the business's growth. So on Tuesdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'm not available to anybody. Now, when you zoom out to the month, you realize that my entire calendar looks like this. I have things put for different days. But the idea of time boxing is that for the 24 hours that you have, okay, for the 24 hours that you have allocated time to different things within that 24 hours. So let's make this a little more practical to you. Let's say you wake up in the morning, right, as a NSS person. Let's use somebody. When you guys normally wake up, let's just go with one person who will volunteer, because I want to do this one person so you can see the system at play. So who? Freedom. I see you have a headset, so maybe audio will be good. Do you want to volunteer? All right, cool. Freedom. So Freedom, when do you wake up? You wake up at 7 a.m. Okay. When you go to bed? Ten. Okay, so let's pick the latest time. Okay. What do you do when you wake up? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You work from home? Okay. 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 And then how long do you stay at work? 9 to 5? Okay. When do you go on lunch break? Okay, so just as an example, right? Freedom's day start at 7. He's on his phone for a bit. So phone getting ready is 8. That's 1 hour. Between 8 to 9, he's on the road. Between 9 to 1 p.m., he's working and he takes a break. Then I'm guessing between like 2 to 5 is working. Then you close at 5. When do you get home? Okay. Okay, and between 6:30 to 10 p.m. or 11, you have things to do. Now, the reason this is important is that when you look at your day like this, you can literally see that your day is a column of times and things happening, right? So when you have tasks and assignments and you have goals, you cannot begin to think, okay, where do I fit in those tasks? So between 1 p.m., so this is for all of you because I know you're working, right? Between like 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., that time is taken by work. So your focus within this time is going to be office work, right? This is your job. I remember the thing we said. This is defense. This is what you have to do to keep the lights on. Because if you don't do it, you don't get paid. If you don't do it, you don't get promoted. If you don't do it, you don't land a job. If you don't do it, you don't get a salary, right? So your primary focus when you're at work is work. But if you think about your time as a column of boxes, every other time you need to do an offensive thing to help you grow is all the other time you have. So, Freedom, what is your offensive goal? What are you working towards right now? Or what do you want to be your offensive goal from the conversation that we've had? What do you want to work towards for the future? You're muted. Okay. 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 So Freedom's offensive time slot is here, which is between 6:30 to 11 p.m., right? So that's where you're doing things for your offense. What are you doing on your trip, on your journey to work? 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. When you're on your way to work. But that's like 5 hours every week. 5 times 4, that's 20 hours a month. They are doing nothing with. Okay, so let's say Freedom, I'm like, there's a book, right? Do you like reading? Or let's say there's a book you have to read. I don't know what book it is. If you read that book on that 1 hour, do you think in a month you can finish one book? Maybe it's an audiobook or maybe it's a lecture. But are you guys seeing what I'm saying? If you think of your time visually like this, then you can begin to figure out the slots that you have to do things. Like I used to take the Trotsky to work, and those Trotsky journeys is like where I read most of the books, or when I'm walking to the office. So I'll get an audiobook, I just put it on my earsets, and then I'll just listen. And in a week, in a month, I'll finish like a book. I'm like 2 books. So whilst people waste that time scrolling their Instagram, tweeting, laughing, getting to the office, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm using that time. So some people say they can't use their phone in a car in motion. You have motion sickness. I'm sorry to hear that, Florence, but can you listen to something? Can you play audio? Or even that's not going to work. So yeah, but can you listen to something? Okay, if you can, then pick listening, right? So I'm not saying maybe reading is hard, like I can imagine that, but find a podcast. Yeah. So another thing so this is practical, right? Freedom. Like you're taking a course in data analytics. What our advice is then find other things around data analytics that are not necessarily a course, but people talking about data analytics. Find podcasts, find YouTube videos. Because when you're learning something, having multiple things contributing to that main thing you're learning actually makes you more productive, helps you understand the thing better. Does that make sense? So I promise you, if you start seeing your life like this, you will find opportunities to make progress. Because a lot of us go like, oh, we don't have enough time and I can't do this and I can't do that. Right? But if you see your life in this time box thing, even within your 9 to 5, you're going to go like, oh, there's usually that 2 hours before work or before work ends that everyone is in the kitchen just talking, or everyone is just wasting time just debating football. Maybe some days I'll join them, but Wednesdays I'm going to hide in the corner somewhere and just like watch something or read something. That's when you find somebody that's focused on their goals, they are weird. because they're looking for this time slot to be able to do things and to be able to grow themselves, and most people aren't. So if 5 years later you see people achieving certain results, it's not by chance. So I need you to map out your day like this. My people, everybody, and this is the exercise. Take a sheet of paper, not on the call obviously, but on the call, right? And just write down everything you do from morning to evening. Like when you wake up, and be honest, like the way freedom is. Don't come and form like organized person when you're not organized. Just be honest. Like I wake up, I go on my phone, I spend time, I scroll TikTok, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. And then look at this and go like, okay, of all the activities I'm doing, how many of these are actually helping me go towards my goals? Eliminate everything that's not helping you get towards your goals, and then replace them with something. Or don't even eliminate everything, just eliminate one thing that's not helping you get towards your goal, and then add one thing that will help you get towards your goal. Just swap it up. Don't start all at once. Don't go and, no, just one. Like in the next 30 days, go like, okay, I pick one thing that is not helping me, but I spend 2 hours on, and then I'm going to swap it out with this particular thing. Please, are you following? Because your time is a resource. Please, like when you have money in your pocket, when you're spending it, don't you count it? You count it, right? Because you're like, hey, I removed 10 cedis, so I can't buy 20. Your time is a resource, right? And if you think about it, it's even scarier than most people assume, because you have your entire life, then you have years. I want to paint this picture for you. It's a little scary, but it helps. You have your entire life, okay? That's the big box. That's counted in years. Then you have the months in those years. Then you have weeks. Then you have days. Then you have your hours. The problem is, because a lot of the things we do tend to be in the hours, most people don't see how this impacts that. So every minute you waste, you're actually wasting your life. Like, we don't see it like that, but that's what's happening. Like, the very foundation of your life is denominated in minutes. So if you spend 20 minutes arguing with somebody, if you spend 20 minutes scrolling YouTube or TikTok, like you literally just wasted 20 minutes of your life. So the question is, what could you have been doing with that 20 minutes in a way that moves you forward? I'm not saying you don't have fun. Absolutely have fun. But then there are times where you know that you shouldn't be on TikTok. That at this point, you're just doom scrolling. There are times where you know that right now, the movie, you're tired, you should go to bed. There are times where you know that you don't want to be following your friends to this thing. It's just, you're going to waste money. But you do it anyways, right? Because you don't see it as you're wasting your life. So you have to, this, like time boxing is so crucial. Like you have to see your time as a resource that you use. Okay, so the first thing is calendars. That's what we just want. The second one is timers. Now, timers are crucial depending on who you are. For me, the way my brain works, I need to see time moving to understand that time is moving. Okay, so sometimes, let's say, here's the exercise. If you let's say you get on TikTok, right? When you get on TikTok, open your phone and just set a timer and just put it like, open the timer, hit start, and then forget about it. And then if you can remember, when you leave TikTok, go and close the timer and just see how many minutes you've wasted. You'll be shocked, right? So just you keeping a track on how much time you're spending actually makes you more aware. That's the first part of timers. So just track everything you're doing. See how much time you're actually spending. And then the second thing is, when you have a task, set yourself a timer. So they ask you to do something at the office, go like, okay, can I do this in 30 minutes or 40 minutes? Just set a timer and try to get it done in that task. It forces you to actually keep your mind on the task. So, because if you set a timer and then your friend shows up and they're talking, your timer is running. You're like, Charlie, I don't want to finish this thing in 30 minutes here. We'll go later. Like, we can finish this thing quick and then we'll go talk. But if you don't have a pressure of time, when you're doing something, somebody comes to distract you, go and join them. Argue, sir, Man United has done this, and that character did this, and did you see that TikTok video? Kasa, 2 hours. And then by the time you're done, your energy is low. They go like, Charlie, listen, I can't finish it today. Let me go and do it tomorrow. Right? Like this is every day. I promise you. This is every day. So like all the big things we spoke about, the mindset, like this is how it shows up on a daily basis. So like I said, if you start doing these things, you'll be somewhere in your office. Your friends will be like, why you pay, you get vision for this life inside. Every day this, every day that. Right? So you need calendars, you need timers. I have a timer. I have a kitchen timer because I don't want to be distracted by my phone. So this is my kitchen timer. If I have to do something, I'll set it 35 minutes time. And then like, yeah, I just start it. And then it starts counting and I'm going to do the thing. And then when it beeps, I'm done. I stop. I'll take a break or I'll read. But I'm consistently keeping track of my time to allow me to stay focused. Right? So your calendar will give you a view of your day. And then your actual activities is going to be guided by having a timer, right? So that's the timer. So you have a task, you have your time, you have your energy, and then you have information. Because information is a key part of how you grow as a person. Information is a key part of how you stand out in your work. Information is a key part of how you communicate. But a lot of us don't spend time creating our own knowledge base. And this is one of those places where you need to use tools, right? You see an article that you like, save it. You see something that you think is profound, that can be helpful, save it. Like, write. You have a thought, put it down. You have an idea, record a voice note. Because everything I'm telling you on this call, right? Everything I'm telling you on this call is a result of information I've accumulated over years and I've practiced and I've documented. Does that make sense? So having a system that allows you to gather information actually also allows you to grow. Because you can remember things, you can recollect things. And information management is also writing things down. Your boss comes to the office and go like, hey, Freedom, can you get this thing done on Tuesday? Don't just nod your head and then forget 5 minutes after. Pull up your phone, pull up your notebook, write it down. This thing has to happen on Tuesday. Right? So that's information management. So when you think about like organization, these are typically the elements I focus on. Right? Your task management, your time management, your energy management, your information management. If you pair this with your goals that we set down in the method section, and you're doing these things because you're seeing a particular value, you typically will end up as somebody that can do the rest of the things. So again, this is not tactics. I'm not teaching you like, here's how you create a to-do list. Like you can Google that stuff. But what I really wanted you to get is to understand that this thing is important. And then you now start the journey of trying to put this into practice and like understanding it on a day-to-day basis. Because I can tell you all the things, I can give you here is this, here is that. It will fail if you don't understand and you don't commit to it. So that 1 hour that you waste on TikTok, replace it with Google how to be productive. Like just go, like take that. Okay, if you don't know what offensive tasks to create of all the things we've spoken about, take 30 minutes of TikTok scrolling and swap it out with 30 minutes of reading about productivity. I think that will drastically change how you see the world. And then from there, pick any tool, start, write in your notebook, write in an app. There's a reason I excluded anything that is like, oh, use this app. Like that stuff is plenty. So I can come and give you that thing, but then after 2 weeks, you forget. Right? So I need you to understand that your goals are valuable, they're important, and the way you get to those goals is managing your time, energy, your knowledge, and your skills. And time is that resource that you can actually leverage. So now you can go and find out all the productivity tools. Now you can go and find out the calendar organization things, but you know why you're doing it, you know what your goals are, and you have been equipped with the research. And I'm sure the rest of the class is teaching you research, how to do all these different things, right? So this has to be a daily practice. And for context, the first time I read a productivity book was in 2012. So technically, I've been this guy for 13 years. That's why I know that the things that you need to do will not happen in 5 minutes of me giving you tools on this call. That makes sense? So that is my overall spiel about like how I would approach this. It's the 3M framework. It's how I learn everything. It's how I do everything, right? And I think if you commit to even understanding just one aspect of this framework and then applying it to your daily life, like you will start to see progress, right? Now, I saw a question that is very, very important that I want to answer. Somebody asked, do I have to do this consistently? Do I have to do this every day? What if sometimes I'll do this and some days I don't do that? Here's a quote that I like to tell people, right? More often than not, do the right thing, do the helpful thing. Nobody's a machine, right? Even me that I'm telling you these things, I don't plan my day every day. I don't plan my week every day. I'm not able to apply these principles every single moment, every single minute of my life. I still waste time scrolling Twitter. I still do all the things I'm asking you not to do. But then the goal is that, if I take 30 days, maybe I want to be doing this at least 20 of the 30 days. I don't have to do it every single day. Because it's not natural. You're not a robot. You're a human being. Things will happen. You fall sick. You'll be tired. You may have to go somewhere. There are days you won't sleep, or there are days you just things will happen because you're human beings, right? But I do think that aiming to get more than half at any given time is better than nothing. And once you start hitting that goal, you will start getting encouraged to do more because you want more. Does that make sense? So for the person worried about consistency, it's not about every single day. No, it's about more often than not. More often than not, you're planning your day. More often than not, you're managing your diet. More often than not, you are sleeping. More often than not, you're doing this. More often than not, you're doing that. Does that make sense? Now, if there's a book that I think you should read, it's Atomic Habits. You may have heard about it, but Atomic Habits by James Clear. That's the only book I recommend that you go and read about any of this stuff. So it speaks a lot about systems, microsystems, how to build them, how to sustain them. And I think it gives a really, really good breakdown of a lot of these frameworks in a way that you can apply everywhere. Now, if reading is too hard for you, look for James Clear and just watch his interviews, right? That's what I do. Sometimes if I don't want to read a book. So I'm just going to put this in the chat. James Clear, Atomic Habits. Yeah, so if there's a book that I think you should read, start from there. And also just watch all his interviews, right? Watch his interviews, see the things he say, listen to them, try to apply some of them. So we'll do questions. I saw some questions. I think I tried to catch some, but then if you have any questions, please ask now. I'll try to answer as many of them as possible. And then, we'll take it from there.